What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for a UFC fight night happening in Rochester, New York this Saturday. And looking at the entire card, it doesn't look like the best card. A lot of these fights on paper do not look like they're going to be very competitive. So I'm going to cover the fights that seem a little bit more competitive and the bigger fights on the card. So we're going to start with Aspen versus Eubanks, which is an extremely interesting fight and also extremely important fight for this division because I believe the winner here, well, see, there is Caitlin Vieira, but if Aspen wins here, 100% I believe she should get a title shot. She's the number one contender. 100%. But if Eubanks is able to claim victory here, she's right on her path again to a title shot, but this time at 135 pounds. So Eubanks is coming up for 125 again. She fought 135 pounds before, went down, now she's coming back up. The changing in weight so constantly like that can do some damage to one's career. I don't think it's going to do that here because Eubanks doesn't have that many fights in her career. But this is a tough task for her, man. Aspen is no easy picnic at 135 pounds. I do believe Eubanks is going to be more technical, a lot more skilled, a lot faster. Eubanks is going to have that speed advantage when it comes to footwork, a lot of good hand speed, a lot of good power in her strikes, like she showed at 125 pounds. She has better fundamental striking overall. Good check left hook, she has a good right high kick, a very good jab, very good at moving backwards as well, and good at stuffing takedowns as well as creating space whenever she ties in with her opponent. But the thing about Aspen is, she crushes her opponents. She may not be the most technical, the most skilled fighter overall. She makes her opponents crumble under her. And it's because of her strength advantage, her power advantage, her will. I mean, she imposes her will like no one else in this division. Even tough fighters like Tanya Evinger and other fighters that she has fought before that are extremely tough have insane will and heart themselves. She makes them crumble under her because they cannot size themselves up with Aspen when it comes to those X factors. And her strength advantage that she's able to have over all of her opponents so far has become such a discrepancy. It really just defines her fights. I mean, as soon as she locks horns with her opponent, as soon as they're able to tie in together, get in clinches, drive takedowns, get in close, whenever their opponents feel out the fight with Aspen it's like we're watching two fighters that don't belong in the same weight class. But Aspen she likes to make it dirty, right? She likes to get in opponents' faces. She doesn't have the best striking. She doesn't have the best footwork. She's very plodding, stays on the outside, but tries to make her way in through opportunities and through openings she sees from the outside. But her whole objective is to get in close, drive it to the cage, get it to the ground, do just some trip, make it chaotic in there, just scramble to get to the ground. And from there, she is excellent at positioning. She is excellent at getting the half guard and the side control, and the most threatening thing you know of Aspen is her ground and pound. I mean, it is super destructive and super powerful. I mean, they're crushing blows that she lands on her opponents. You can even hear her screaming from like the depths of her being. It's like she's trying to get something out of her when she's landing these bombs on her opponents, and you know there's a lot of power coming through, and because she was able to finish Tanya Evinger in the first round because of it. And Tanya Evinger is as tough as they come. And the thing about Eubanks, even though she is such a powerful and athletic fighter, she is much smaller. If she gets under Aspen yes, Eubanks is a highly renowned BJJ prodigy, but she hasn't really shown that too much in MMA, and under Aspen I just see her getting crushed under her. Unless Eubanks shows us something that she hasn't shown us yet when it comes to BJJ, my prediction for this fight, I'm going to have to go with Aspen and I'm going to go by a second round TKO. I think the size, the strength, the power, and the tenacity is just going to be a little bit too much for Eubanks. And then we go to Charles Oliveira versus Nick Lentz. Now, they have fought twice before, with Oliveira winning both fights. The first one became a no contest because of Oliveira landing an illegal knee before he was able to get the submission. And then in the second fight, he submitted Nick Lentz, but it was a bit back and forth there. I think Oliveira won the first round and Nick Lentz won the second round. Oliveira was definitely doing more damage. He definitely had the better striking overall. Just Lentz was able to make it very dirty and chaotic a bit, right? Oliveira likes to stay with a Muay Thai style of striking when he stays on the feet, and he has a very good push kick. He's long, he's strong for the 155-pound division, which is kind of surprising given his build, and he usually comes in light. But he has a good jab, good straight long punches, good leg kicks, and where he caught Nick Lentz pretty good was with some of those knees. as Lentz was trying to make his way on the inside and elbows in the clinch. And Lentz just really likes to get in dirty, not really technical too much. He has gotten a lot better overall, but he likes to just stick it with his boxing a lot more, get it into close range, throw punches and bunches, and mix it up with takedowns. But the thing why this makes it such a hard fight for Nick Lentz is because Oliveira submissions. He has an insane guillotine, Peruvian necktie. I mean, he goes for everything. Reverse calf slicers, many anaconda chokes. His rear naked choke is amazing as well. He pretty much trumps Nick Lentz everywhere on the ground. Besides, I would say overall positioning. I think Nick Lentz has the positioning factor going for him. With the right kind of game plan, with the right kind of training, I think he can possibly defend or not be in the exact position Oliveira needs him to be for some of those submissions. But at the end of the day, man, my prediction for this fight, I'm going to have to go with Charles Oliveira. He's beat him twice before, which is a good reason to think that he might beat him again. He is younger. He has grown a lot since those fights. Nick Lentz has gotten a little bit older, taken a little bit of damage in his career, although he is coming off a 2-fight win streak. But at the end of the day, I think the gap between them has just grown wider apart, you know? So I'm going to go Charles Oliveira. I'm actually going to go by a second round submission this time. I think Lentz is tough enough and aware enough to not be in the positions to put himself in too much danger up until Oliveira forces it upon him. And then we go to the main event. Rafael dos Anjos versus Kevin Lee, by far the most competitive fight on this entire card. And the biggest fight on this entire card as well. It's a big opportunity for Kevin Lee, man. Huge opportunity coming up from lightweight to welterweight, fighting one of the top contenders. Now, Rafael dos Anjos is a very well-rounded fighter. Good kicks, good punches, very fast for this division, great takedowns, explosive double leg takedown, good BJJ, especially when he's on top, but even when he's on the bottom, he has very good scrambling ability and very good sweeps. The only guy that really shut that down was Khabib Nurmagomedov, and also a little bit, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, due to their size mostly. But in this fight, these two are going to be relatively the same size. But with Kevin Lee, he is also coming with that wrestling style that RDA has been having a tough time with the welterweight division. I mean, Kevin Lee is a powerful wrestler. Not even Tony Ferguson was able to stop his takedowns. And his BJJ is high level as well. Yes, he will put himself in risk, and we've seen that before. And RDA is a very high level BJJ artist. I do believe he's going to have a little bit more skill there, but combined with the wrestling and the strength of Kevin Lee, Lee is going to hold his own on the ground there. I think he's going to do enough to land some ground and pound and not be swept. Maybe not going for submissions a whole lot because that would just put him in risky business. And along with that wrestling style comes pretty good boxing, long-range punches. Now, he does have a few holes in his boxing, a few holes in his movements. He's going to have a bit of a speed discrepancy coming to this fight with RDA, but I believe he's going to have more power. And he has an insane reach advantage here. 7-inch reach advantage. That is huge. And that jab and that straight right hand, those are going to be money against RDA, man. RDA has a good ability to slip, but his main defense is pulling. He likes to pull and land that left body kick like he was able to land on Anthony Pettis. Or pull and land a straight left hand and then follow on the inside with combinations like he did to Robbie Lawler. But the thing is, what stance is Kevin Lee going to be in? Because as of late, he's been switching stances pretty often. He fights equally as effective in both. It's a tough fight to call, man. But my prediction for this fight, I'm going to go with Kevin Lee. I think him being at welterweight now, it's going to show a different level of Kevin Lee. He's not going to be drawn out. He's going to have a better chin. He's going to have better cardio. And that wrestling style is just going to thwart a lot of what RDA wants to do in that reach, right? RDA likes to throw straight punches as well. And he likes to pull a lot and try to slip. But I believe Kevin Lee is going to be able to keep him on the end of some of those jabs and straights. So I'm going to go with Kevin Lee. I'm going to go by a decision. I think he's going to win 3 rounds. I think it's a very competitive fight. And then let's look at the rest of the fights here. So there's some good fights here. I mean, Megan Anderson versus Felicia Spencer. That's an interesting fight, especially because it is a featherweight fight. Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Ian Heinisch, I believe that's how you pronounce it. That's one of the most interesting fights on this card. Very good striker in Ian, and you got the insane BJJ prodigy in Antonio Carlos Jr., but seeing how Ian's last fights have gone, if there is a hole in his game, it is a bit of the BJJ, especially when it comes to the level of Antonio Carlos Jr. So, should be a pretty interesting fight to watch. Davi Ramos versus Austin Hubbard is going to be interesting, but I do see Ramos dominating. One of my highest anticipations for this card is Mike Trizano versus Grant Dawson, and it's crazy to see that Trizano is actually the underdog in some of these odds. I know it's a pick 'em in some of them. That's interesting, man. I mean, they're both good prospects for that division. Ed Herman versus Patrick Cummins, a blast from the past kind of thing. Zach Cummins on the card. Julian Rosa versus Julio Arce. I mean, again, another dominating fight, I believe. There's a lot going on here where it's pretty one-sided, I believe. But let's look at the betting odds, see if there's anything interesting. Now, there's a lot of big favorites on this card. Desmond Green's a huge favorite. Julio or Julio Arce is a big favorite. I mean, there's a lot. Vicente Luque is a 10-1 favorite. I mean, just let's go down the list with that. I do think Trizano should win his fight. He is extremely well-rounded. Yes, he's not the most dangerous fighter, but he does everything very, very well. I do think Aspen versus Sajara Eubanks is a lot closer than they're giving it. And with Kevin Lee and Rafael dos Anjos, I kind of agree with that. So I agree with most of the odds here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the predictions. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. My next video is going to most likely be the podcast. I want to get that out by tomorrow, if not Saturday. So be lookout for that. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.